Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rane. Today I'll be making a trellis for my Hoya Krimson Queen propagation, and I will be using these two dowels and this jute string. I'm going to be making a ladder trellis, so I've got a thicker dowel and a more skinny one. So I'm going to cut the thick one in half, and those will be the sides of the ladder, and then the skinnier one will be the rungs of the ladder. And I've got this makeshift pot that I just recycled plastic from like my food. I've scored some holes into the bottom of this because I think drainage is really important with plants, and I like to use pond with a semi-hydro water solution with Super Thrive. I use Super Thrive, and I like to make sure that the pond gets cleaned out every time I water it so that there's no buildup happening at the bottom. And then I've got my water dish to catch the water every time I water. And when I make this ladder trellis, I need to make sure that the bottom is skinny enough to fit inside of my plastic pot here. And in case you don't know me, I am on a journey to try to make my own ceramic pots because I'm trying to minimize the amount of plastic that I have in my home and my life. But I do like to recycle. So until my ceramic pots are finished being fired and glazed, I'm going to have to use these plastic pots for now. And when I make this trellis, what I'm going to do is let it splay out a little bit towards the top. So it'll be skinnier at the bottom to fit in the pot, and then it will gradually get wider. So let me go ahead and make the first cut. So here I am just using my garden shears to cut this. All right, so I did not measure this out, so it's not exactly the same on either side, but that's okay. I don't mind. If you want to make one of these and you want to measure it out so it's exactly like the same size, like perfect in the middle, go ahead and do that. But I really don't mind asymmetry. I'm just going to take off the sticker. And I also forgot to mention that I'll be using a used rubber glove. And this is going to be for the stick that goes into the pawn. So like either side that goes inside the pawn, I want to cover it with the rubber finger parts so that the wood doesn't rot from the waterings. So now I need to cut the rungs of the ladder, and I'm going to try to use my titanium scissors and see if I can cut the skinnier wood with that. And let me see if I can figure out what the size of these dowels are in case you guys are curious. So the thicker one that I have is 1/4 inch in diameter, and the skinny one that I have is 1/8 of an inch in diameter. And the skinny one is 36 inches long. And I'm sorry for anyone who's not in America watching this. I don't know what the metric measurements are, but I'm sorry, you'll have to calculate that yourself. But the thick one that I have, the 1/4 inch one, is 48 inches long. And I got these from Michael's, and let me just tell you, it was super cheap. They were both under $1, so I paid less than $2 for both of these things. The jute string also was very cheap. I think it was just a couple of dollars for this entire roll. But now I'm going to go ahead and measure out the skinny part, and I'm going to make it a little bit wider than the ladder. So the ladder will be like so, and then I'm going to allow the ends to stick out on the end. And so I'm just going to measure the pot here. So I'll let it go out about 1 inch on either side. And that's where I'm going to make my first cut. And let's see if this works. It did. All right, so now I'm going to tie my first knot, and I'm going to show you a close-up of how I do this. I just learned how to do it on YouTube. I think it's called a tanzant knot. It's like a survival knot. So you can do it once on one side and it's like kind of temporary, or you can do it twice, one on either side, and it becomes more permanent, and you don't have to like actually tie any knots. I'll show you what it looks like. And I honestly do not know how much string I need. So I'm just going to take this much. I don't know what that is, 7 inches maybe. And the next time I make a knot, I will adjust. So let's see how this turns out. Okay, so you want to make the sticks perpendicular with each other. And this is where I want my first knot. And then you take your string and you put it behind the vertical stick and you wrap it around. And I'm going to make it even on either side. So that's what it looks like. And then you want to take the left string and bring it over so it crosses over the right string. the right side of the string. And then you're going to pass it on the right bottom and behind the vertical stick. So it looks like that. And then you're going to take that one that you just passed behind and cross it over the string again and loop it under. So it's going to go under. So see how I have an X here? It goes under the string that is making the top part of the X. So it goes there. I'm going to string it through. And then I'm also going to loop it under this top part of the X here on the top right corner. So it's going to go under there. And I'm going to pull it up. And now I'm going to take either side of the string and pull it in opposite directions, just like that. So that's one knot. And now I can do the same thing on the other side. So this is what it looks like on the back. But when you do it, you want to do it at a 90-degree angle. So you turn it. And so now I've got these two sides of the string, and I'm going to pull them over the top this way. So I've got these two middle strings here, and then I've got these two strings on the outside of that. And so now I'm going to do the same thing with the left one. And let me go in closer so you can see better. And I'm going to cross it over. This left one is going to cross over the right one. So I'm making another X. And then I'm going to pass that around the bottom and the back this way. So now I'm going to grab it from here and let it cross over the string that's hanging here. And I'm going to loop it through this X again. So this part of the X, it goes under there. And then I'm going to loop it into the top part of the top right part of the X as well. There. And then I'm going to take either side of the string and pull opposite directions. And voila, it's done. It's pretty secure. Like I could probably pull it out if I pulled really hard, but since it's a trellis and a plant is going to be living on here, like this is just fine. And then now I can trim these ends off. So that's what it looks like so far. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here. And I'll show you another close-up. I'll try to get even closer in case you kind of missed it the first time. But first of all, let me just trim off these ends here. And this jute string is pretty sticky. Like it kind of like grabs onto itself. So I feel like this is going to be pretty secure. Let me just make sure that my trellis will fit into the pot. And I am only going to put like, it looks like about 1.5 inches or 1 3/4 inches into the pond. So this top rung is just going to be laying on top of the pot like this. So it'll be like that in the pond. I don't want it going all the way down to the bottom because I don't want to waste any of the stick. I want my plants to be able to grow as high as it can. And I think it'll be pretty secure if I have that much of it in the pond. I hope. So this is actually my very first time making a trellis like this. And actually I want my trellis to be towards the back of the pot and not like in the middle like this, or do I want in the middle? I'm trying to make a decision of whether I want to put my trellis like right in the middle of the pot or if I want it more towards the back. I think I'll put it more towards the back. So I'll make the rung about even on either side and that'll be just fine. It'll fit right in the pot. So I'll cut about the same amount of string that I had last time. That was about perfect. Okay, so here is my vertical stick. My horizontal stick is on top, and then my string goes behind the vertical stick on top. And then it's going to lay down on top of the horizontal stick like so. And I'll try to make it even on both sides. I'm going to cross the left side over the right side like so. And this is a little bit difficult to hold in place, but you can do it. And now I'm going to take that string that I just crossed over and then let it pass over like towards the back on the bottom of the vertical stick, like this, there. So I just passed this string towards the back, and now I'm going to bring it up, and it's going to go on top of the string that's hanging there. And now I'm going to pass this through the X. First on the bottom here, and then through the top right, and pull it through. So that's what it's looking like right now, pretty loose, and I'm going to tighten it. And then as I'm tightening it, I'm just going to position the sticks the way that I want it, about there, and then tighten it all the way. And I'm going to turn it around and also turn it 90 degrees. From here, you can see now the vertical stick is now horizontal, so the fat stick, and there's these two loops here that are going up and down. So now I'm going to take this string from the back here and loop it on either side of the middle here. So now I'm going to take the left side and cross it over. So it's going from the top left and crossing over to make an X on top of this other string. And it's going to the bottom right. And it's going to go under and loop around here, catching it here. And now I'm going to loop this under the X. First on the bottom. And the string is a little bit short, but I think I'll be able to finish it out. And then it goes to the top right, under the top right of the X. Sorry if you can't see what I'm doing as I'm passing it through, but there it goes. And now I'm just going to tighten it by pulling in opposite directions, up and down. And there, that one's finished. All right, so that was a success, and I'm just going to trim that. There's a long tail on that one side, and I'm going to give you guys a link at the bottom of the video that I watched to learn how to do this, in case you were not able to see clearly like where my twine was going. In the video that I watched, it was pretty easy to see what the person was doing with the string, but I'm going to go ahead and finish out all the other rungs. So this is what I have so far. I've just done the second rung, and I kind of I didn't measure it out, I just eyeballed it, and I've determined that I can have 4 rungs on here with the amount of stick that I have. So that's what it's going to look like. And I've already tied the twine on, and I'm just going to adjust it a little before I totally tighten it. I think that's going to be pretty good. I'm going to make it a little bit wider here. Yeah, so now I'm going to tighten this and then trim it. And then I'll go ahead and tie these other 2 rungs on here. Okay, there it is, complete. And honestly, that did not take very long at all. So the first few times that you make the knot, I mean, it's going to take some practice in the beginning, but once you get it, I was able to finish this pretty quick. I want to say in 10 minutes or something. And there are actually quite a few videos on YouTube that teach you how to do this knot. So now I am going to transfer my plant into its new pot, and right now it's in perlite. So I propagated it, and it's been living in this perlite for many months. I think it's been months, and I've been meaning to make this trellis for so long, and I'm just now getting to it, but here we go, we've done it. And I had this growing up on my mirror. It was growing up, and then it just got too heavy and started to slump over. So I was like, okay, it's time. It needs its new home in a trellis, and I don't like having my plants live in perlite because it just dries out way too quickly out here in the desert. But good thing that the Hoya Krimson Queen is a cam plant, so it can go pretty dry longer than other Hoyas, but still I don't want to risk losing this plant. It started out so tiny and it has grown so much since I propagated it, and it deserves a better home. So what I need to do first is get it out. So I'm going to dump all the perlite in here. And hopefully the roots are not so dry that they're stuck to the glass, because that happens sometimes. Okay, good. So the perlite does feel a little bit moist. I'm not really sure what all this orange stuff is. So orange. So I had a little trellis in here to hold my Hoya up in the beginning. Oh, I know what that is. It's rust. It's from the trellis because there's metal inside. That is rust. So let me just take this trellis off. It's not needed anymore. We've got a real trellis now. It's kind of like coiled up. I don't want to touch the rust because I haven't had my tetanus shot in a while. So I'm going to get gloves. I always like to show you guys close-ups of what I'm doing. But that's what it looks like right now. I'm just going to try to get as much of the perlite off as I can. Probably a lot of the roots have like dug their way inside the perlites and they're not gonna, I don't want to rip them out. So I'll just leave whatever's left on there and it'll be fine. It's okay if I have a little bit of perlite in my pond, but there's the trellis that I use and it is pretty rusty. It served its purpose and I'll go ahead and just cut off the rusty part and then I'll use the good part for something else. Okay, so that's what the root system looks like. Not bad. Okay, that's enough. Oh, I tore off one of the roots. Oops. I wonder if this could grow into another plant. I always like to experiment with my plants, and I'm gonna put this root that got broken off into the pond with this plant and see if it grows into a new plant. I'm so curious. All right, so now I need to fill up my pot with the pond, and I just boiled my pond, my used pond, and there is a little bit of leca in here. There's some leca clay balls, which doesn't matter. I'll just leave it in there. So hopefully I have enough pond. So let's see. That's good. So now I'm just gonna have to fill around the plant. I should probably put my trellis as well. And the plant is gonna go right there. So I'll just fill in around. So I totally forgot to cover the wood with my rubber glove. So let me go ahead and do that now. So I'm just gonna cut the fingers off, like the forefinger and the middle finger. And then I've got some clear rubber bands and I'll just cover the ends because I don't want the wood to rot. If the Crimson Queen attaches to the trellis and it starts to rot at the bottom, like it's gonna be difficult to like take it off the trellis and make a new one, I feel like. So I just want to safeguard and not cause problems for myself in the future. Okay, so that's secure on there. I'll do the other side. Okay, that's set. So let me just start over. Okay, so trellis goes in first, and then I'll put my plant in front of it. And it's leaning to the right, so I'll just let it go on the right side. I'll put the roots a little deeper in the pot this time. I think this is the rest of my pond. I had run out, but there was like a little bit left that I hadn't washed yet. So I washed it up and I boiled some like pond that I had already used for previous plants. But there's that. Oh, there's a tiny baby leaf growing. I'll show you a close-up. So this is not going to stick to the trellis just yet. I'm pretty sure it'll start to wrap around by itself eventually, like probably tonight, hopefully. But right now it's just a little bit heavy. So I might have to tie it on. So that's what I'll do. There's the tiny little leaf right there. Okay, so I need to fill in more ponds so that my ladder is secure. And this is kind of a big pot for this tiny plant. So what I'm probably going to do is put more strands in here eventually. Oh, and let me not forget the roots. I almost forgot my tiny, where did it go? Here it is, this tiny little root. I'm just gonna plant this in here and see if it grows into a new plant. It'll be so interesting if it does. So let me just use up the rest of my pond and fill up to the top. I think I need a scoop. Okay, I found a couple of scoops, but I almost forgot to use my tree fern fiber. I've been wanting to experiment with this and mix it with my pond just because it helps with more moisture retention, because I do live in a desert. It's so dry out here, and I just want the pond to stay a little bit more moist towards the top because that's where it starts to dry out the most, like fastest. And especially in the bigger pots, like it's just like super, I've noticed, like so dry at the top and then it's like moist at the bottom. So then I feel bad for the roots that are towards the top. Like I feel like it's too dry up there. But anyways, let me just sprinkle some of this tree fern fiber on this layer before I put the rest of the pond. Just kind of spread it around evenly. Okay, and now I will scoop the rest of the pond in here. Okay, let's make sure everything is in place. Here we go. Use them all the rest of my pond. And this Crimson Queen propagation came from the one that's behind me. This is the mother plant right here. And let me show you. Look at those leaves. It's got some super purpley leaves. I've been leaving it by my window over there and it gets evening sun, and it has come out, it's popped out with these really nice like purpley red colored leaves. I'll show you close up later. Okay, so that's what it's looking like so far. And I don't know if I want to put more tree fern fiber or not. I'll mix a little bit more in. Just a little, not too much. And I'll just try to spread it around evenly. Add a little bit more pond on the top. Okay, I'm just about done. Last thing I think that I need to do is just to tie my plant to the stick. And I don't like to use plastic. So I know a lot of people like to use those little like hair clips. Super cute. Like the little butterflies and the dragonflies. But I'm trying to get rid of plastic and not use plastic if I don't have to. Like I know you can't get rid of it 100%, like it's so useful for a lot of things, but when it comes to something like this, if there's a nice alternative, like I'd rather use the alternative. And anyways, I like the natural look of the jute string better anyways versus the plastic. I feel like the plastic, like the colors are so vibrant and it just takes away from the plant. It's like distracting, I think. That's just my opinion, but I just had a little knot there. And so hopefully this tendril here at the top will start to wrap around by itself. And hopefully the little root in here will grow into a new plant and start growing up here. If not, I'll probably propagate another plant. I'm not sure which one. I don't know if I'll do the same one or a different one and then let it grow up on this side. But what do you guys think? Do you like my new trellis? I can't wait to see what it looks like when it starts growing more. I'm feeling so accomplished right now. I'm so glad that I finally got this done. But let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And I'm going to show you a close-up of this in a minute, and also my Hoya Krimson Queen with the purple leaves if you want to see that, so stick around. But thank you so much for watching and have a great week and enjoy your plants.